Milk Roots podcast episode. I don't know. We're in the middle. We're in between Christmas and New Year's Eve. Which event is more? Which is to me? New Year's Day is not a holiday. New Year's Eve is the holiday. It's best to start recording spontaneously. It's more entertaining if I'm just talking off the top of my head, right? This is definitely not a scripted podcast in any way. I mean, I can tell you right now, I'm definitely not reading from a script. Could you imagine if what I was saying right now was something that I typed up? Like, why would I type this up to say this and then say this? I'm totally not reading off like a teleprompt right now. Could somebody... Come on, this is ridiculous. Is this an AI generated script for the Milk Roots podcast? Because I usually have stuff to talk about, and what I'm reading right now sounds like I am just rambling. I don't ramble. Who wrote this? Okay, so I guess the other night I left one of my goons to write a script for this episode, and apparently it's not gonna be going very well, so I need to think of something else to talk about. Okay, so this is already turning out so much better than what I was already going to talk about, because whatever I was planning on talking about was like stuff that was like weighing on my mind, stuff that was bothering me, stuff that I felt like I needed to vent out, and that's basically what this podcast is. That's what I hate to say it, but that's what I've been using this podcast for. Is I've just been talking about my life, and I've been talking about things that have been going on in my life. But I don't get too personal, and I talk in metaphors. And now I'm getting too meta, because I'm not supposed to be telling you this stuff. It doesn't really matter. But maybe you've already figured that out by now. Maybe you've already figured out that they're. What are you talking about? I would like to do an episode reflecting on this entire past year, but what's the point? What's the point when I hardly remember the first half of this year? And what's the point when every year gets more and more difficult? Every day gets harder and harder to hold back the tears. I feel like I'm constantly staring at the screen at the end of a video game when you lose, and it says continue, and there's only two options, yes or no, and it's getting harder and harder to keep clicking yes. My life is so stupid. This universe is so stupid. What even is a universe anyway? What's the difference between a universe and a realm? And what's the difference between a realm and a dimension? It's all just concepts. Everything is a concept. Is it wrong to choose to live your life in delusion? I've always felt like that's the only way to get by in life. That's like the choice I made, to just let myself go crazy and be delusional. And maybe I'll have dementia one day. That's how I'll go. I'll have dementia. It sounds like a terrible fate, but this world that I live in, this world that has been created for me, and maybe I've created for myself, it's all a fantasy. It's like I'm like Alice in Wonderland, and the stupid fantasies that happen in my mind are more important to me and more real to me than anything else. So I'm sorry I can't be here. I'm sorry I'll never be here. I'll never be there. I'll never be anywhere else other than inside my own mind. I don't even think I need to apologize for that, because isn't that just what this world has brought me to, you know? Everyone needs their own escape. I'm happy living in a world of fantasy. All these elves and dwarves and dragons, man. That's just what makes me happy. And that stuff is real. I'm sorry, but it is. It just is. Maybe I sound sound crazy to you. Dwarves are real, elves are real, dragons are real, gnomes are real, fairies are real, pixies are real. I'm not messing around. I'm not messing around. Sasquatch, extraterrestrials, house spirits, trickster spirits, the cosmic jesters, the machine elves. I've never met the machine elves, but they're probably real. Angels, demons, werewolves, witches, wizards. That's the world I live in. Can you just deal with that? Can we all just deal with that?
Reprendre votre thérapie, d'aller en partie. Votre fils a quand même...
As usual, something crazy happened right when I was in the middle of recording, and time has skipped. It was 12 a.m. not too long ago, and now it's 5:27 a.m. And it doesn't matter what happened in between, because I was alone. That's the best part of living alone. You can do whatever you want. You can disappear and come back, and it just doesn't matter where you were or what happened. And usually when you... never mind. I was talking about how I have found that this podcast tends to be an outlet of sorts for me to talk about things that I can't talk about to anybody, but I usually say it all with metaphors. It helps me a lot when I'm struggling with something that's weighing on my mind. If I say it out loud and I know that somebody else is listening, the whole subject starts to evaporate from my mind, and it doesn't bother me as much anymore. Fuck you, Tony. Fuck you, Tony. You told me I was fucked up in the head. You're the one who's fucked up in the head. Stay out of my dreams, you short little man, you worthless piece of shit. Yeah, that didn't work very well. Let's try that again. Fuck you, Tony. You told me I was fucked up in the head. You're the one who's fucked up in the head. Stay out of my dreams, you short little man, you worthless piece of shit. Yeah, that's not helping very much. Well, let's change the subject. Do ghosts fade away over time? Tony, I can't stand that name. Ghosts fading away. Do they? That is the question. Have you ever wondered, how long does a ghost stay? If you think about ghosts as like something that is trapped in a time loop of sorts, you know? That's one thing that people theorize about ghosts, is that it's a spirit that did something so repetitively within their lifetime that in the afterlife, that's what they're doing for the rest of eternity. And that's what I'm wondering about, is it really for the rest of eternity, or does it last for a certain amount of time and eventually just fade away? Because a lot of these apparitions, there's there's this place where an accident happened, like a really bad car accident or something. And if you drive through the area and your radio's on a certain station, the radio will pick up. You start hearing ambulance sirens through the radio and like police transmissions from the night of the crash. And it's really interesting, but how long does it last? That's the question. And why am I wondering this? Because I'm a ghost of sorts. Aren't we all just spirits wandering this plane? The plains, vast open fields of yonder. I wanted to talk about addiction for this episode, actually, but that's not a very interesting subject, is it? Is it? If there's anything I'm addicted to, more than anything, it's thinking. Did you know that you can become addicted to thinking? You can become addicted to being alone. I read a comic about a guy who became addicted to thinking. It wasn't much of a comic. I forgot what it's called when it's like a comic form. It's like really short, so you can't call it a graphic novel, but it's a comic, but it's just like a serious. It was like a monologue. It was a monologue comic about a guy who becomes addicted to thinking. I don't think I finished reading it. Just like I don't finish much of anything. And I'm recording right now because I don't feel like doing anything else. So I'm procrastinating. I'm procrastinating my whole existence with this podcast because I can just stop and talking to my computer. Peter talks to his computer. He prefers it to typing, and particularly prefers it to pen and paper. Sing a song of sixpence, a pocket full of rye, 220 blackbirds baked in a pie. And when the pie was opened, the birds began to sing. Now isn't that a dainty dish to set before the king? Time is a good subject to talk about because since we are heading towards the new year, but I don't have anything typed up for this episode, so I'm talking off the top of my head. And right now all I can say is about the new year, when it comes to New Year's, is what is with people? Why are people always like, new year, new me? New year means new, change, everything's gonna be different, and then nothing's ever different. I mean, everything changes every single day. It's a day-to-day thing. People are changing. People are changing. People change every day, and that's what you want to see. That's what you want to look forward to. You want to see yourself grow. You want to see people grow with you. I am internet shopping right now as I speak. This is a terrible episode. I'm looking at hats. Is this interesting content? Okay, no, thank you. Those are really cool pants. I know my phone is listening to me right now. Like, yeah, I like those pants. I'm not gonna buy them because I don't like spending money on that sort of stuff. Rather spend it on beer. No. Getting jiggy with it. I think I want to end this episode with trying to write a poem off the top of my head. Let's skip to our poetry section. This is an impromptu poem, an improvisational poem by myself. I'm writing it right now off the top of my head. This is a poem about the new year. New year, new dollar. Minced meat, blue collar. I holler at the 725 and it goes up an extra 50. The numbers don't mean anything. It's the time that keeps on sliding. As I slip through into 2025, I feel like I can dance. I feel like I can jive. But I have no choice but to throw it all away, so I can brace the perils of the next day. I'm gonna title that Untitled. You know, if you think this podcast is hard to listen to already, could you imagine what it would be like if you had to listen to it without me cutting out all the silence in between me thinking, in between all my thoughts? There's a lot of silence. It's so fun editing. I probably won't be uploading another episode until next week, so this is a good time to record something for the new year. And I'm sorry I'm so depressing. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about the cosmic jesters. There was a brief mention of the cosmic jesters early in this episode. It's not really worth talking about, but they're trickster spirits, and right now their presence is very prevalent within this realm, and their powers might be getting stronger with the fact that they have multiplied in numbers, and they're able to completely manipulate entire planets however and wherever they choose. What do they do exactly? They cause chaos for fun, and they mess with individuals such as myself. They mess with people who have a connection to the spiritual world, and people who open themselves to chaos such as myself. What do they look like? Jesters, of course. They got skinny faces, some of them. You know, you can imagine the Joker from Batman if you want. Not much different from that, except they wear jester hats most of the time. They have a connection with the machine elves, I believe, and even the mushroom deities. Are they mushroom elves, or, I mean, there are a lot of different spirits connected with mushrooms. I mean, mushrooms are connected to everything, basically. But yeah, I mean, the cosmic jesters are elves too. All the elven spirits, they all have a connection with each other. I was talking about Santa Claus in the last episode, and he's a very powerful elf, but he's like a rogue elf, and I love him so much. And then, yeah, there's the machine elves and the mushroom elves, and then you've got the cosmic jesters, who are also elves. They're trickster spirits. I don't know if they identify as elves, but as an elf myself, I can tell that they are elven in some way. Did you know that vampires are elves too? I'm kidding. I'm joking. That's not true. That's not true. But, like, pointy ears are a dead giveaway. The Vulcans from Star Trek, what do you think they are? They're some type of elven race, of course. Oh, but Vulcans aren't real. Not in this reality, at least. Not in this universe. Not in your universe. Vulcans are not real, as far as I know. Just a very interesting race of beings from a TV show. It's all fictional. That's all fictional. Everything else I say is real. I will tell you whether or not, because of the wonderful things he does. We're off to see the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Because of the wonderful things he does. Okay. A good witch. A good witch. I don't like good witches. I don't like good witches. I don't like good witches, and I don't like evil witches. I like neutral witches. It's time to end this episode, clearly. Until next time, peace, and Happy New Year.